I'm honestly kind of shocked. When did we stop building real houses and start building houses made out of glue and bark chips and list them for $1 million? So this is what I'm talking about right here. $1 million for a bunch of junk OSB plywood and bent 2x4s. Plastic plumbing, all thrown together by the cheapest possible bids they can probably get. And you don't even get any land for your $1 million. Look how tiny this lot is. This right here is the new type of house they're building in the suburbs of Portland, and it costs $975,000. Literally everybody I know wants more affordable housing, but all we get are these monstrosities that are so incredibly expensive. And an HOA that costs $100 a month and doesn't let you do anything. And that's all they're building, all around me. They opened up all these acres of old farmland, and all they're building are these ginormous houses. Even Zillow estimates the payment on this place to be over $6,000 a month. And unfortunately, this is the future we're looking at, where no normal working class person will be able to own a home. We're talking about something like 5 or 6 of the average salary around here in order to purchase this house. Now make that make sense.
Popular opinion, but I feel like if everyone stopped trying to buy a house, we could solve these 5 issues in one go. Debt, isolation, pollution, family relationships, and exploitation. The whole concept of buying a house is exploitative, starting with the fact that you have to take a loan from the bank to actually buy your house. And then you have to pay that loan back over 25 or 30 years. The gag is, at the end of the 25 or 30 years, you don't own the property that your house is on. So even if you fully paid off your mortgage, you still have to file and pay your property taxes every year. And if you don't, the bank can come take your house. And honestly, I didn't even know this until recently, and that's the point where I was like, yeah, okay, it's a wrap. I don't want to buy a house. Because what do you mean I just worked my ass off for 30 years in a job that I probably hated just to pay off this house, and then at the end of the 30 years, I have to pay you more money every single year for the property? Meanwhile, it's like, who actually owns the property? The bank, right? But who owns the bank? The government, right? So who gave the government the right to steal this land from the indigenous people that were on it, and then steal other people from Africa who were black, ship them over to America, use them to build up this country? And then at the end of all that, they say they own the property and we have to pay them taxes for it. Nope. Sounds exploitative to me.
Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. In case you're new here, my name is Maren.
And I'm Maureen.
Right. So in today's episode, guys, we are going to be reacting to videos of people on the internet who are coming forward and complaining about houses in the Western world. So today we are going to be focusing on houses in the US versus houses in Russia versus those that are in Africa. Yeah, so some speakers have come forward to say that houses in America are being built very poorly and with very cheap materials. And also we have a video of a speaker who has developed homes in both America and West Africa, and according to him, he says homes in Africa are generally better quality because they're built with stones and they're not built with wood like in America, to give the illusion of luxury, right? So in today's video, that is what we're going to be doing. Let us know what you think about this episode on the comment section. Also remember to subscribe if it's your first time here, right? Let's watch.
This is everything I hate about luxury new home construction in America. You see these pillars right here? Those are made out of plywood. You can see there from this pillar, they're painting it to look like it's marble. It's just plywood. And then all this is not actually a brick house. This is just a brick facade. These are basically like a Costco building. They're not that fancy, they're just big, and they charge a lot of money to well-to-do individuals who have a lot of money, but maybe can't differentiate high quality from, well, whatever the hell this is. And this is actually why I prefer doing work in Africa, because in Africa, we're putting out a much higher quality product. And if you were to buy this house in Africa, I guarantee you, everything would be real. It wouldn't be fake like the American properties.
Things that are normal in America and absolutely weird for Russians that arrive here. Construction edition. The weirdest part of American way of living from me was, and still to this day, is why American houses are built from wood. Again, I've been watching these hurricane reports and I've seen houses and everything is made of wood. Wood that is used for outer walls in the United States are used for inner walls in Russia. And the entire house in Russia, outer walls are built with bricks or stones. Number 2 is painting the inner walls. Here it is absolutely normal. You take the paint and you paint the walls inside, right? Russians do not paint walls inside of their houses. It is so weird. Russians use paper wallpaper. The only institutions you can see walls painted inside are the hospitals or schools. And number 3, carpet. How can you have permanent carpet in the house? Something you cannot take out and wash properly? You need to buy a specific machine and have it in your house if you have carpet. You need to use the carpet wash every day to make it completely healthy for you. There is no way anyone Russian will ever understand the attachment of carpet inside the house permanently. But any Russian will prefer something that is easy to clean and wash rather than have extra struggle for nothing.
West Africa builds better houses than America and much of the Western world. I've built new homes in America and West Africa, and I can tell you, when you see the construction of new homes in West Africa, you're gonna have a hard time settling for the junk they try to sell you in the United States. The biggest reason for this is, where does your money go when you purchase a new home? In America, most of the money that you pay for that new home is going into the land and into the permits necessary to build your house. Whereas in West Africa, most of the money that you're putting into the new home actually goes into the home itself. So you can have better building materials and a higher building standard than you can in America. In fact, let me compare two. This is the kind of build quality that you'll have in America if you're buying new home construction. It's basically as cheap as they possibly can make it to maximize their profits. Whereas check out West Africa. The walls are concrete. They're not cheap wood and drywall. The floors are marble. They're not this cheap artificial wood that they've been using in all the new homes that they call luxury in America. And the location of the houses makes a lot more sense in West Africa. In America, when you're buying new home construction, even luxury home construction, you're generally put off into this land of suburbia where you're 15 minutes away from the nearest store. Whereas in West Africa, you can purchase a home that's conveniently located to the metropolitan areas, which makes life a lot better on a day-to-day basis. And let's talk about privacy. In West Africa, you can build a privacy wall around your entire property. So people can't just walk up to your front door, or they can't just look in and see what you're doing. In West Africa, you get that safety, security, and convenience. Whereas in America, they only allow you to generally do these cheap vinyl fences, and if you're lucky, they can be 6 feet tall, and they can only be in your backyard. So everybody could just walk up to your front yard when you buy a new home construction in America. And in West Africa, new home construction isn't as restricted as it is in America. So if you want to build a one-level house, you can do it. If you want to build a 6th bedroom instead of having a 5-bedroom, we can make that happen for you. And if you want a guest house, that's absolutely no problem. As long as you got enough space on your property, we can build that for you too. Instead of having to do it in America where you have to get permits for every little change that you make to the property. And as a result, the houses don't all look the same. Have you ever gone through a suburb in America and the only difference between any of the houses is what kind of vinyl they put on the front of the property? They call it a facade. Sometimes when I'm in a house in America, even a luxury new home construction, and I'm in one of the bedrooms, I have trouble telling the difference between the multi-million-dollar house and the much less expensive house for first-time home buyers. They use the same materials and they feel exactly the same on the inside. Whereas when you get new home construction in West Africa, the walls can be ornate. You can have really high quality doors. Everything's just gonna feel a lot more bespoke. And another little thing that I like about West African construction versus construction in the United States is the climate control. So in West Africa, every room can have its own individual climate control and can go to the temperature that's necessary for that room or that person's preference. Whereas in America, at most you're getting 1 or 2 zones of HVAC, meaning that everybody has to agree on what temperature is best for them. So if you're looking to build your dream home and you don't absolutely have to be in the Western world, I would really consider looking at new home construction in West Africa. I think you can get a lot more house for your money, but even for getting value play, I think that they build the houses much better at a higher quality, and they're just nicer places to live in than what you'll experience in the Western world where everything is basically cookie cutter.
Do you live here in Paris?
Yeah.
How much do you pay for rent? Wow, and what chocolate is mom?
Here in 7.
Can I see it?
Sure. Wait, do you have the problem?
No, why?
You see?
So, what floor do you live on?
On the 7.
Okay.
How was it?
Fine.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I hate it.
Uh-huh.
So, here we are.
Is it your plate?
Yes.
Okay.
So here we are. Welcome to the mansion. Here we are. It's 9 meters.
How did you live in here?
I don't know.
For how long have you lived in here?
It's been almost 2 years now.
Whoa.
So guys, welcome back. Let us know what you think about this episode. So there's a question that one of the speakers had that I want to pose to our audience here. And the question was, how did America get to the point that it is right now?
Right.
And I also want to ask, has America always built homes on with woods and plywoods, that kind of materials, or was there a point where you truly built homes with stones?
And then you shifted, like,
What happened?
What happened? Because this is also a question I've always wanted to ask Americans. Why do they build their homes with wood? Because here in Africa, our walls, we build everything with stones. Yeah, stones and metal.
Right. There's also a Russian speaker who talked of the same. That was one of the culture shocks she experienced when she went to America, because she wasn't like, she hadn't seen anything like that. And you know, there's another speaker also who said about, who talked about, you know, the housing market industry has been overhyped and overpriced for nothing or for no good reason, just because people gave them the power to, you know.
Yeah.
Because when people are rushing to buy homes, which I do understand, you want the best for yourself, you want the best for your family, right? But as she says, the way you behave also influences
The market.
yeah, and unfortunately, that is the very same reason why these people, the industry has taken advantage of that, and now it's exploiting Americans. Right now, I do believe that economics worldwide is shifting, and people are experiencing bad times throughout the world. But you know, picture a situation where that girl from Paris who said she paid 485 euros for that tiny apartment in Paris, and I'm like,
485 euros. That is how many thousand shillings in Kenya, guys? Let me just do the conversion real quick. And she said 485
right.
euros. 485. That is 67,000 Kenyan shillings, 67.6 thousand Kenyan shillings. That I would be forgiven for thinking in an average home, that would be like a mansionette in Kenya if you are renting.
yeah, 4 bedroom.
All that leg space you'll be enjoying. And in Europe, that kind of money only
Doesn't-
gets you a cramped apartment.
I've also heard of Americans complaining how much right now the kind of homes they used to get for, let's say, for an amount of rent of $1,000 up to $2,000. Back in the days, it used to get you a good house in a good neighborhood, right? But even now, right now, they're complaining that for you have to pay $2,000. The cost of living has gone up so high, and you have to pay $2,000 for rent in a neighborhood that is not even worth it, for a house that does not even match the price, you know. And you ask yourself, how did you get to that point?
Yeah, and my main question today is, okay, right now the world is where it is, and housing is where it is at right now. Do we blame ourselves, or do we blame the governments of each country?
I feel like this is an every country problem, because even here in
Kenya,
Africa,
we are walking to that stage slowly.
Exactly. In Africa, things are also changing, only that our change is coming very, very slow. And I feel like Americans were pushed into that kind of, the level where they're at, like at an expedited speed.
Of which it's because they're first world countries, so
Yeah.
they were meant to get there earlier than us.
every other person. But this is a problem I feel like it's affecting all countries, because even here in Africa, things
But
are
you know,
changing.
the government, the people who are in the government, they're not many compared to the subjects they are ruling. A girl here was asking, the sister who had the afro, she was asking, what if people stopped buying these homes from the government? What if people just started living like that? Of which in today's world, we are not Vikings, we can't just live in bushes. Not that Vikings lived in bushes, but what if we stopped giving the government that much power?
And the capitalists as well.
Yeah, guys, what do you think? Would it change anything where we are right now? Do you think it would change anything?
Yeah, because there's also a comparison she said, she made where she said that governments want you to think that there's a crisis going on, and they want you to think that homes are in short supply.
Yeah, and also she mentioned that homes are not really in short supply. The number of homeless people in America right now couldn't even fill half the amount of houses that are empty right now in America.
And
I
I'm
found
like,
that to be quite interesting.
If that is true, then like there's a game these governments and the capitalists are playing on people that people are just falling right into. And I asked myself, you know,
to what end?
Yeah, and I've been seeing these videos on TikTok where you find that they're showing videos of neighborhoods that used to be occupied by people, settlers, and right now
they're moldy and empty and
they've
just
been abandoned, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why did such estates get to this point? Because that is wasted space. Those are wasted
that
homes.
can house a homeless person right now.
Yeah, and I'm like, for these homes, like a place like Chernobyl, it didn't just happen, right? The contamination made it so that
people could get out of there.
Yeah, and I'm like, for that to even happen is because the government allowed it first, allowed impunities to take place in that such areas for them to become contaminated to such a point it was affecting people, and they have to up and live and abandon their homes.
Yeah, you know, until some people were even asking themselves on TikTok, they were saying that the government is so overrated, and they were asking, what if people could just, instead of relying on the government to do this, that, and the other, what if people could just start relying on themselves and just say,
coordinating,
you know, yeah, man, just saying we don't have a, anymore.
Anyway, guys, let us know what you think about this episode. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much for joining in. Let's catch you on our next.